Where do I even start? Welcome back to Saturday Morning Sushi, folks. I originally wanted to save this one for a little bit into Sushi's lifespan, but I started thinking to myself, how much do I have to talk about with the adaptation and localization of Dragon Ball? I started making a list of all the things I wanted to talk about here, but then gave up and decided to do something easier, like count the grains of sand in the Sahara. Needless to say, I have enough material to make a multi-part retrospective on the adaptation and localization of the Dragon Ball franchise. This isn't just a multi-parter either. I'm going to completely change up the format for this one, as it's nearly impossible to talk about the original, localization, and legacy when there's this much to talk about, spread over what could very well be half a dozen videos or more. I'll likely be leaving the legacy until the final episode of this particular franchise. I won't be spending much time talking about the original either, because frankly, if you're not familiar with Dragon Ball, then you're most likely not going to get much out of this either way. I've also decided that our best bet is to go chronologically. You'll definitely be hearing all about the changes made though, so don't worry. Today, we're going to start from the very beginning of Dragon Ball's Makufushiki adventure into the English-speaking world. And if you think you know where it started, you may very well be wrong. Harmony Gold. Ring a bell? I don't want to start talking too much about these guys until I touch on another localization touchstone that they're famously, or infamously, familiar with. But they actually have roots in the very first dub of Dragon Ball, specifically the very first and third Dragon Ball films. And no, I don't mean Dead Zone and Tree of Might, I mean Shenron no Densetsu and Makufushiki Daiboken, known in English as Curse of the Blood Rubies and Mystical Adventure. These were originally released along with the second film, Majinjo no Nemuri Hime, or Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle, alongside the original run of Dragon Ball in Japan. They essentially act as alternate retellings of the original 28 episodes, alongside some original plots to shake things up. California-based television distributor Harmony Gold USA licensed Dragon Ball in 1989 in an attempt to bring it to America. They'd previously had success in 1985 via their release of Robotech, and this would be one of their final attempts at localizing anime in the West. The films were purportedly released on VHS back in 1989. No copies seem to exist currently, however, it was aired in Philadelphia at the time, and scant recordings exist online. Interestingly, both films were aired together to make a single special. The score by Shunsuke Kikuchi was actually kept, which wouldn't be the case in America again for many, many years after the fact, and the opening theme was redubbed instead of completely replaced as well.
Seven magic balls, hear the dragon call, and feel the mighty magic of those sacred balls.
There were also some minor edits for content, but by and large, it came through unscathed, but that doesn't mean there weren't some major changes made. While the script remained relatively faithful, the best one could expect from late 80s adaptations, the names were all altered in the process. Goku was changed to Zero, Bulma to Lina, Oolong to Mao Mao, most likely because of his outfit resembling Mao Zedong, Yamcha was changed to Zedaki, Puar to Squeaker, Krillin to Bongo, Lunch to Marilyn, because she looks faintly like Tenshinhan was changed to Shinto, Crane Hermit to Lord Wuju, Tao Pai Pai to General Tao Pei, Shenlong to Dragon God, which is actually just an accurate translation. But the funniest of all the changes, Cutting became Whiskers the Wonder Cat. I think I speak for all of us that we bore a great loss with Harmony Gold's failure to make this dub a success. It should also be noted that this dub uses a Los Angeles-based cast, featuring plenty of veterans of the industry. Goku is played by Barbara Goodson, credited here as Betty Gustafson.
The only other person I've ever seen is my grandpa, and you don't look like him at all.
Bulma is played by Wendy Lee, credited here as Wendy Swan.
I may not be the sweetest person in the world, but I'm no monster.
Oolong is played by Dave Mallow, credited here as Colin Phillips.
I'm not supposed to be anything!
Yamcha is played by Kerrigan Mahan, credited here as Ryan O'Flanagan.
You two have a choice to make. Either hand over that motor droid you came in or hand over your lives.
And the exceptionally funny part about him is that he also voices...
You have no chance of defeating me!
The rest of the cast is flush with LA veterans.
Because in 3 more seconds you'll be silent forever.
Ever since they found Earth rubies there, the Batmen have been tearing up our homes to get at them.
If you take my advice, you won't hang around that flying pig.
The acting is pretty par of the course for 1989, but it definitely has its own charms. Each of the actors sounds like they're having fun with their roles, and in my personal opinion, it's one of the best interpretations of Kid Son Goku. Funny note, to touch on something that we'll return to much later, Wendy Lee would reprise her role as Bulma for the Southeast Asian dub of Dragon Ball Super. But again, that's a dub for another day. Interesting as well is that the first 5 episodes of the series were also purportedly finished by them and aired to test the waters. As it never caught on, plans for the series were scrapped.
What you got there? Guess you don't need a leash, huh? Now that'd be pretty silly, wouldn't it?
However, Harmony Gold's TV movie and episodes were utilized as the source of an early Mexican-produced dub titled Zero y el Dragon Mexico, which covered approximately 60 episodes. In an interview with a translator for the dub, he claimed that Harmony Gold had translated the scripts that far and that there was difficulty with handling further adaptation. If you're curious about these dubs, archive.org actually has the 2 films available, and you can find a link in the description. Note, I don't promote piracy, but I believe these copies are definitely not replacements for the actual films and serve better as supplementary material. I wouldn't necessarily call this a lost dub or anything. Behind the voice actors has samples of almost every named character in the film, and most hardcore Dragon Ball fans are familiar with the tale of Harmony Gold. But I found plenty of fans who were blown away by the revelation that not only were there dubs of the series before the 90s, but that Dragon Ball didn't always belong to Funimation in the States. This would change, however, when Dragon Ball would return to US television in 1995. Funimation Productions, in conjunction with BLT Productions Limited and distributor Kidmark, a division of Vidmark Entertainment, which later would become Trimark, these guys will be important later, produced 13 episodes and a full dub of the first film, Curse of the Blood Rubies. The cast was made up entirely of Ocean Studios veterans, though the audio was recorded at Dick and Roger Studios in Vancouver. It aired in early morning, first syndication in 1995, a year before Z would drop, featuring the same cast. Goku is played by Saffron Henderson.
Just because you're a big monster doesn't mean I'm gonna let you take my fish!
Bulma is played by Lalanya Lindbjerg?
But all the rest of these things are scattered all over the earth because that happened a long time ago.
Oolong is played by Alec Willows.
If he thinks I'm dumb enough to fall for the old juicy pail of slop routine, then he's even dumber than I thought.
Yamcha is played by Ted Cole.
We were talking and, we don't want to really have any hard feelings between us.
And Emperor Pilaf, Mai, and Shu are played by Don Brown, Tel Rothery, and Doug Parker, respectively.
There can be no wisecracks. Some things simply cannot be allowed to leak out.
I think I hear your mommy calling you, kiddo.
I got a great idea. Let's just break in.
And of course, the rest of the cast.
Oh, hush up, will you? Can't a master take a small break from training and have a little fun?
Oh my, this is all happening so fast. I just don't know what to think. Oh, I'm so mixed up.
Turtle Hermit? He is the great Master Roshi. Do you know where I can find him?
Now, a common mistake in the Dragon Ball community is the misattribution of who was responsible for this dub and the subsequent dub of Dragon Ball Z. Ocean Studios did provide the voices for both, but both dubs were owned by Funimation, who provided the scripts. Funimation has been the license holder for the series since 1995. They just wouldn't provide their own in-house cast until 1999, but we'll get into that more later. The dub is known for replacing the original music, including the openings and endings Makufushigi Adventure, or Mystical Adventure, and Romantic Ageruyo, or I'll Give You Romance, with a completely new score by Peter Baring.
Dragon Ball, gotta find that Dragon Ball. Don't stop until you got 'em all, the 7 magic balls.
The editing for the series was comparably less strict than Saban's subsequent restrictions for the Z-dub as well, leaving in some risque jokes that might have otherwise been deemed unsuitable for broadcast standards. But we would still lose all instances of nudity, the violence was toned down, and Goku's habit of getting rather personal with people's genitals was removed as well. Not many people remember this dub, as it wasn't widely broadcast and the airtime was before school in the mornings. As such, it would languish before dying out altogether after its first 13 episodes and the film. As I've mentioned before, Saban would take the reins from BLT for Dragon Ball's sequel series, Z, but Kidmark would still maintain the distribution rights to these particular episodes and film all the way until 2009. However, until said time, Funimation was still allowed to dub and air these episodes on Toonami, just not release them on DVD. Though they've been out of print since 2009, the Kidmark DVD release is still available on Amazon, though they're all used. That's it for this installment. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, we'll be rocking the dragon with a classic ocean dub of Z with Saban, Pioneer, our good friend Shuki Levy, and the miraculous Juan Wasserman. But until then, we're gonna switch our gears back to Samurai, and I'm gonna give y'all a more proper introduction to the historic Ocean Studios. Stay tuned and get ready for more funny accents than a Guy Ritchie film.